So we were asked the best way to get a dog to not pull on a leash. And we've been standing here for a few minutes, just basically asking that same question and how to even video this, because really it could be a very long conversation, and then I guess it could be a short conversation. My question back, when someone asks me about leash pulling, is for me to have the same question as who's asking me, right? If I have a 70-year-old woman with a busted knee and she has a 130-pound intact male St. Bernard, the answer for that person could be completely different than somebody that's 20 years old and runs like marathons and wants a dog to jog with them, but wants a dog to get along at a dog park, whatever it may be. So everybody's going to kind of have a different answer. Then it can also lead into the tools. The tools that we all use can benefit, like how to teach a dog how to walk on a leash, and it could also make it even worse, depending upon what the tool is and how it's used. So I guess for me, where I would first start off is to think about it from your dog's point of view. Is what does the leash mean? What does the act of the walk mean? Like, what do we want this thing to become? Is it walking on a leash so our dog can just sniff and pee and poop and pull us? Then that's probably what we're going to get, even if we're asking the dog to heel, even if they know how to walk on a loose lead. Because because this dog has no interest in doing that. The dog has no interest in that at all. So what does the leash mean? So if a lot of people already have dogs that are already learning to pull on a leash, then the first place you start is you have to desensitize the leash. You have to turn the leash into meaning anything other than actually going on a walk. And if you want it to become even more complicated, is that the leash going on a walk should only happen when the dog is calm. And that's the first place you start. Because if the dog thinks that the leash comes out and it gets excited, and then you go to the front door, the dog's excited, and then you open the door and the dog's excited, and then you go through the door and the dog's excited. And this is irrelevant whether the dog knows how to sit at a door or not. It's how the dog is emotionally. So that's going to ruin your walk right off the bat. I mean, before anything else is going on, is if your dog's going to the door charged with a bunch of energy. Because sometimes we misread the act of them being excited. You know, we want them to be happy and excited to do these things, but what we sometimes don't realize is that our happy with them being excited, we're happy that the same emotion that goes back at us later on when we're trying to ask them to walk nice on a leash. Because really, walking on a leash isn't hard. It's getting the dog to become calm while it walks on a leash, because that's where it's thinking. It's not thinking when it's excited. It's reacting, right? So you're wanting the leash to become more of an emotional, like putting on the tie before you go to work, right? It helps you change your face, right? Except for, you're not wearing sandals and sitting on a beach. You put on a tie, you put on a suit, and now you kind of take on that persona, so to speak. So the same thing's kind of happening with the dog. You want the dog to wear the leash around the house, have it be associated with food, and just not going on a walk and getting frantic and excited and jumping. There's a lot more to this, as like I said, that you could probably damn near write a book about all this stuff, because it involves both the human side and the dog side, because it's a relationship. So it's never just train the dog to do this, because the dog doesn't want to do any of it, if that makes sense. And just for a cookie, once the cookie's gone, they stop doing it. Just the same as if you stop getting paid, you stop going. So there's a little bit of bridge in between all of this. So for now, start with that. Ask questions, because this is really kind of where you start. And it doesn't matter, well, we'll talk later about maybe what tool you're using, how you use it, maybe what you're thinking about when you go on the walk. And I'll give you an example just as what we could talk about later, is if you're on the walk and your mind can't stay with your dog and mind what its behavior is doing, you've done too far of a walk. Your walk needs to be the length that your mind can stay attached to walking the dog. So if that's 5 feet and you have to practice that for a week and a half, but 10 times a day, right? That's the way you really want to teach yourself. Because like, once again, this is, you know, we could talk dog all day long and there's 1,000 channels that'll tell you how to do this and that with dogs, right? But really, if you don't have a basic understanding or you know, a know-how of how animals are functioning and how your reactions make their reactions happen, or vice versa, you'll be trapped in a pattern, and then you'll, you know, unfortunately you'll think your dog is something that it isn't. But pretty much start with desensitizing the leash, no matter the tool you use, whether you use head halties, harnesses, whatever other kind of tool, you know, regular flat collars, martingales, prong collars. Not really into the choke chains, but you know, people do what they want. They're grown adults. Start there, ask some more questions. It's good to have everybody's brains fire up. Let me know what you think. We'll talk to you later.